Hello, fellow fragrance friends and lovers. What is your scent of the day? What are you wearing? Welcome to my fragrance channel. If you love smelling great, learning about beautiful fragrances, and exploring what perfume and colognes and all that stuff is, you've come to a great place, Scentaur Fragrance. So today, you clicked on this video, Bon Viveur, I believe that's how you say it, and from the house of Naughton and Wilson, in full 100% disclosure for you. Mr. Smelly over there himself wanted me to review this fragrance. It was generous enough to send over a bottle, so take that as you will, but that's not going to affect my review today. I do have some interesting thoughts about this one. Is it the best men's fragrance? Is it the best classic men's fragrance? We'll talk about that. Is it great for the value for the money? You know what to do down below if you want to support this channel. So let's jump into the fragrance review today. So you do get an opening that's very fresh. I do like it. I have it sprayed on my hand here, but let's refresh for you. Nice sprayer. Did y'all see that? I'll do it one more time. The wind's blowing that way, but hopefully you saw that. And it's a nice, it does have a little bit of that melange. You get lime and mandarin orange and some other citrus. I have it pulled up here so I remember mandarin. There's a little bit of bay and basil off the top. They are listed as top notes, and usually bay and basil are like heavier, greener, oilier, or I guess you could call them herbaceous notes, but because they are an herb. But you know, they do act more as top notes. They are fresher and on the top, and they do add some greenness right off the bat, but this isn't an overtly green fragrance, even though this is more of a gentleman's fragrance. In the heart of the fragrance, I do notice the musky cedar, but the biggest notes are actually lemongrass and British gin. I do like that Mr. Smelly brought a little bit of his British heritage to us and gave us something for the gin lovers and maybe some of the boozy lovers. If you do want a classic men's gentleman fragrance, I do think that's a big positive here, that there's a lot of gin, and I do like gin, and would like to see it more in fragrances. I like cypress and I like elemi, and that is a note I really like. And the other biggest note besides the gin in this fragrance is the lemongrass. Now, I know not everybody smelled lemongrass, but just imagine an oily lemon rind, but less citric, less sour, and a little bit more, you know, kind of green or laid back, herbaceous. So lemongrass is actually one of my favorite notes. So there's some big pluses here. I did see the note of watermelon, and I thought that was going to make this fragrance sweet and really playful. But to my nose, it just smells a little bit like the rind of the watermelon. It does add a little bit of wateriness, but you really don't get a lot of the playful sweetness that a watermelon can bring. That might be a plus or a negative for some people. This is, again, another fragrance that is classic. Some people might find it, you know, vintage or classically inspired, but it does have some good playful aspects about it. And I think that anybody, if you can step away from stigma or that thinking that your dad or your grandpa might wear something, I think a lot more people would enjoy this, especially if you're a guy 25 plus, something like that. This is very easy to wear, but it does have a little bit of those classic vibes. Those classic vibes come mostly from the patchouli. There is the, you know, the cedar. A little bit of dry oak moss coming through also gives it some of that vintage feel, but it's mostly from the patchouli. It's a little bit like of a white, sour, clean patchouli, but nothing too vintagey here. This is, again, a modern classic style blending. And, you know, I don't know, mate. I would be very interested to see how some of the people who like the vintage and are very deep into the discontinued or, you know, vaulted, long gone fragrances, you know, from the maybe even as far back as the 50s and the 60s, what they would think about this. I'd love to see more perspectives like that. Anyways, I feel like it's a successful fragrance overall. The blending is pretty good, but I do think that having the watermelon sweeter, and you don't have to make it overtly sweet, but I do think having it even a little bit more playful on the sweet side would have made this even more modern and likable to a lot more noses. The oak moss was decent, but I don't know I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit too much oak moss here. You know, if you're trying to make a really modern, trendy fragrance, but again, really refined fragrance. If you're looking for something for a gentleman, let's talk about that performance. I think it's where it needs to be. I'm gonna give it about 7 hours out of this one. Again, there's a lot of citrus off the top. Then you got some lighter, fleeting, you know, boozy notes. You got some oily herbaceous notes mixed up in here. You do have put some clean patchouli, which does add some performance, and some musky, more transparent woods and stuff. So none of these notes are particularly heavy or dense. So you're not really going to get anything that really strong out of this fragrance. It does project decently. It's fairly noticeable projection wise, and the sillage is good. And again, depending on where you live, not everybody has smelled something like this. This style of fragrance is not smelled or not seen by everybody these days. So it might just stand out in a good way. So I think it's good, 7 odd hours, maybe slightly above average overall projection. So that's not bad. I think that's good. And again, if you tend to spray lots and put this on clothes, I have no doubt that this will get you up there to 8 to 9 hours longevity out of this fragrance. So compliment factor wise, wearing this fragrance, to me, this fragrance feels like a casual summer day. Maybe you have a summer home or a vacation home. It makes me think of going out, like a lazy, like maybe some of those older movies where people are sipping mojitos or pina coladas, and they have those little plastic flamingos, and people are walking around with tropical Hawaiian shirts and sunglasses, and it just makes me think of like a little bit of a resort town, and people just coming in and just coming into the resort town, and this is what you want to smell like, and it's a little bit whimsical and laid back. So it does have a fun vibe about it, and it does, again, to me, it doesn't go overtly powdery. I didn't want to mention that too much, but I do feel like a little bit of powderiness comes through. Probably from the oak moss. Haitian vetiver does add an interesting, clean, woody depth. Again, more woodiness to here, but it's very smooth as far as vetiver goes. It's not aggressive, but somehow, somewhere, maybe it's the patchouli, I get almost a little bit of powderiness, and that does add perhaps a little bit to the classy, refined feel. So this can be worn casually, but maybe you need to wear laid back, but maybe a little bit more expensive clothing to make this work. And it's not purely playful, but it is playful. So hope that makes sense. It's a good balance of the two, but I would have liked it even more playful. So my final thoughts with this fragrance, it's about $150 and it is 100 ml. I do think the presentations from Naughton Wilson, Mr. Smelly, are excellent. I've seen where some people, their plaques aren't stuck on there really snugly and really tightly. And maybe if it gets really hot, maybe it'll move a little bit. I haven't had too much of a problem with that, and I live in the South and they can get hot. So maybe I just got lucky and my package didn't get left out in the sun. But overall, the cap, it does have some metal to it. It's plastic on the inside, but it's metal on the outside. Has a good weight to it. The sprayer's nice. The bottle might be a little bit simple, but it's exactly what you want. It's good and it makes sense. So overall, pretty good. Again, I think you have to be a gentleman who wants something more than just citrus. Maybe you really like citrus fragrances with a little bit of a classy, gentlemanly vibe, but you want something a little bit different. And I think, again, the biggest selling point to this fragrance is the British gin. If you've been wanting a refined, gentlemanly gin fragrance, and you don't so much like cypress or elemi and some of those, and maybe some of the juniper fragrances are too heavy on the juniper, this is a nice balanced fragrance. That is for sure. So anyways, let me know what you think about my review. What do you think about this fragrance? How does it sound? It's a nice one, and I honestly like where this house is going. If we get more fragrances like this, and I think this might even be better than the first one that came out. If we get more and they're in this line in this way, I think their quality is getting better and better. And they're learning how to do their craft. This new fragrance house, I'm excited to see where they're going to go. I don't know if they're going to give us a gourmand or a darker woody fragrance or an amber, or who knows what they'll do in the future. But I'm excited to see what's going to happen. So have a beautiful day, everybody. I'll see you soon. If you do love fragrance reviews like this one here today, don't forget to follow me here. I review fragrances Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, so don't forget to come back. This was Scentaur Fragrance, helping you learn about fragrances, understand them, and decide if you're interested in the fragrance, if you want to get a sample and all that good stuff. So have a beautiful day. Thanks for hanging out with me, and don't forget to follow, like, and all that good stuff down below. I'll see you soon, everybody. Have a beautiful day. Live well. Smell amazing. Wear what you love. Find those fragrances that you love. And I'll see you soon. Bye.